Wow, you have spikes. Oh man, that's
Spiky spikes.
He spiked it, guys.
You've never had
spiked
spikes
it.
on your recording, Sebastian, ever. I always have to go in and like zoom to 1,000% to find your.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about. Maybe my headphones are not powerful enough, or I don't know.
I don't know. I'm happy about that.
Or maybe I'm just not a spiky guy.
Did you ever used to spike your hair?
I did when I was much younger. Yeah, when I was a punk rock kid, I had spikes for a minute. It was just too much maintenance.
Really?
Yeah, I had short ones, like not the tall, like not the super long one, like the short ones. I had a girlfriend who had like the best spikes I've ever seen ever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we actually became friends on Facebook recently. Like I found her on Facebook, or she found me, whatever, and I reminded her. I was like, the one thing I really remember from you is like your awesome spikes. Like she had like orange hair with like dark black spikes at the top. It was like so cool. Really, really cool. Even for today's standards, like she could like still sport this today and look pretty cool, I think, with the kids. Anyway, yeah.
So Cody, you've been having some trouble today.
I've been having some trouble? Yeah, I've been having some trouble with my internet.
What, your internet is down?
The internet is down. Yeah. Yeah, man, it's so for a long time I had AT&T Uverse, which I had one or two beefs with them, but overall they were really good. Just moved to a new house. We got set up with Verizon Fios because it's supposed to be better. And not impressed so far. I really don't like their TV service, honestly. I don't like their menu guide and stuff like that. There's like 6 ways to do one thing, and it's really just kind of convoluted. And then the internet's been good, though, until recently. We've been noticing really bad problems with Netflix, which I think if you've read, I mean, there's been a lot of stuff about Fios and Netflix. There's constantly passing the blame back and forth to each other on why that's so crappy. But anyways, it spilled over to my actual internet use today. This is the first time it's been down, but it's not really down. It's just like every minute and 30 seconds, it drops down to like 128 kbps, and then it kicks back up to my 68 megs per second or whatever my package is. I think it's 75. So
that's pretty much a bummer, because that's the only reason you bought your house is to get Fios, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That was the 100% for the buying reason, and it's kind of lame that it's backfiring a little bit. But you guys work with me. I have a workaround. I'm on Skype on my iPhone, recording on my computer.
So you are really recording on your computer, right? You have GarageBand running and everything. You're speaking. No. Just to make sure you are talking in front of the microphone in the right direction. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. No, I thought about that because I'm worried because I'm going to mute my microphone thinking you guys can't hear me, and then I'm going to like
start singing and start speaking
or just say
in your
something
Bane
really
voice.
mean. Oh my gosh, I can't believe they're doing this.
Jeff, this is so stupid. I hate that guy.
And then it's like, oh, I didn't mute my iPhone. So it'll be interesting. Hopefully
Shut
I can
up
figure it out.
about these stupid apps.
Oh, let me guess. Jeff's saying May again.
Oh, Jeff and his stupid spider joke again.
Oh, it gets on my nerves. I cannot wait to get off this podcast.
Right? No. I don't normally say anything. Maybe I'll cough or I'll like lean back in my chair, which is really squeaky. That's the type of stuff I normally mute for.
Or you just bark randomly. I don't know. So, how was your weekend, Sebastian?
I had a fantastic weekend.
You did?
Yeah, I did actually. I had a pretty good, very uneventful besides World Cup matches. But that was good. We had some sleep a little bit. My son had 2 pretty good nights, so that means like we had 2 pretty good nights of sleep, and that just makes everything better. Yeah. So the weekend was very uneventful, but still pretty good. Pretty
Sleep.
good.
You can tell you're a parent because sleep is like the highlight.
Right.
Yeah.
That's at the top of the list of I had a great weekend. We slept.
We slept 6 hours. That was awesome. I think I had something good happening to me this weekend, but I don't remember what it was. I was like, there's something big happened to me this weekend. I can't figure it out. I don't have a new car. I don't have a new kid. What else? what else could it be?
Do you ever think to yourself, like, when something good happens to you or something kind of eventful, and you're thinking, hey, I want to talk about that on the podcast? You ever think to yourself?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's come across my mind before.
Yeah. For example, the car. You know, when I had my new car a couple of weeks ago, I was like, well, that's something I can bring up on the podcast. Or
In fact, that's the only reason you bought it, right?
What's that?
That's the only reason you bought the car.
That's the only reason I bought the car, so I have something to say in the podcast.
Man, if Jeff asked me how my weekend went, I want to have something good. So,
how was your weekend, Cody?
I'm trying to think of what I did Saturday. I think it was pretty uneventful. Actually, I think I did a little bit of work Saturday, and then watched the World Cup game. I thought Saturday's game was awful. I was not impressed with Brazil and Holland.
No, it wasn't very good. None of these two games were really good anyway.
Well, I thought yesterday's game was pretty good. There wasn't a lot of goals, but I thought there was a lot of chances. But no,
did you see that guy run out in the middle of the field? Oh, okay.
That wasn't yesterday, was it?
I was some streaker guy ran.
That was a few days ago. That wasn't.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, he was like a comedian on YouTube. That's funny.
No,
Anyway.
I didn't even see that. I don't think.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt you.
Great. No, that's okay. Jeff's like, I'm going to say something about this game. I saw this. No. Saturday's game was for third place. That was between Brazil and Holland, and I think Holland ended up winning 3-0. I complained a little bit about on Twitter. I didn't like the officiating. I thought this guy made some really bad calls that I think could have changed the direction of the game. But in the end, Brazil didn't play good enough to really warrant any kind of help from the refs.
I think we can clearly say they kind of sucked, actually.
Yeah, Brazil really got embarrassed. I think I tweeted something like this out. It was the score line for Brazil in the last two games was 10-1. How embarrassing! And I mean, when you think Brazil, you usually think towards the top of soccer, towards the top of FIFA, and they usually are. They have a ton of World Cup wins. One of their players, Ronaldo, had the goal scoring record up until last week. So you really think the top with Brazil, but now you're going to associate them towards the bottom because it was a very public. I mean, they were playing at home and they just really embarrassed themselves these last two games.
You embarrass me.
Yeah. Are you happy with the results though? Like Germany, do you think Germany deserved to win?
You know what? I really wanted Argentina to win, but that was more of a personal. I'm kind of tired of the way Argentina looks at Messi. I thought he played very well. He had two, I think, game-winning goals in the World Cup. He created a lot yesterday, honestly. He looked like he was trying to put some stuff together. So I don't understand. I feel like they're just going to blame him for this loss. But in the grand scheme of things, I thought Germany, overall, through the whole World Cup, was the better, best-looking team. I mean, these guys front to back, from their strikers all the way back to their defense and even their goalie, just played outstanding. So they definitely deserve to win.
Do you think that Messi deserved to be awarded the Golden Ball?
The golden boot?
They call
was it for goal score? Like the most goals?
They call it the Golden Ball, no?
We might be thinking of two different things. I don't know about the Golden Ball. I know the Golden Boot is going to Jaime Rodriguez or whoever that is
Messi
from Colombia.
Messi picked up by FIFA's Golden Ball for outstanding player of the tournament.
I couldn't believe he
that
won the Golden
award.
Ball. Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
There was players that had better, more goals, and there was players that probably looked. I don't know. He didn't do anything Messi-like, really, other than maybe his free kick against Nigeria.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Like, he didn't stand out as a great player during this competition. I mean, he did his job like everybody else. But he didn't stand out. I was not watching him saying, wow, he is really the best player in the world. And he didn't come across as the best player in the world to me.
And I agree with you because, my girlfriend actually watched quite a few of these games with me. And I tried to explain to her, I was like, yeah, that's Messi. He's the best player in the world. And I couldn't really back it up. I couldn't really point and be like, that's why. So, I don't know. I don't think he had a bad World Cup by any means. Like I said, he did have two game-winning goals that, Argentina would not be where they made it to. without him. And, you know, he also had that really good-looking free kick. He had a 92nd minute goal that kind of bent around the defense and the keeper. I thought was really good in the group stages. And like I said, he looked good yesterday trying to create stuff. Man, Argentina had so many golden opportunities.
Dude, they should have won this like 2 or 3-1, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they had like two like easy opportunities, like two, like, okay, you can't miss this, but you just did.
Yeah, Higuain had that one that he chest tried, it came down to his feet. All he had to do was pick a corner and he shanked it wide. That one was ugly. That was in like the first 30 minutes, I think. And then they had a couple more of these opportunities right in front of the goal. So they kind of did it to themselves. They had multiple opportunities to score and they didn't.
Well, how amazing for this what's his name, Mario Götze, to be 21 and score the only and winning goal of the World Cup finals.
Oh my goodness!
How amazing is this? Like, this kid is stoked for life.
Yeah, and you know they were talking about he plays for Bayern Munich, I believe,
right?
And they've already won. He's been playing with them
already
since
won
he was 18.
3 times, like the
3 Bundesliga titles. Yep, it's incredible. I mean, you think about this guy is 21. That's a kid. I think I was just trying to figure out school. I was trying to figure out school, and I was like a waiter at that time. Like nothing compared to the type of
you didn't have a World Cup
at that age.
At that time. Yeah. Did you win a World Cup by the time you were 20?
No, I didn't have any World Cup goals or victories under my belt at that time. So pretty cool. Yeah, cool story for him. And his goal was good. I mean, you got to give it to him.
That was beautiful.
This guy brought it down with his chest, and as he was diving basically out of bounds.
That was a very perfect control of the ball and kick. That was perfect.
Yeah. To be honest, I thought the keeper should have been in better position to block that because it was near post.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a keeper going to one side, you should never get beat near post. You should always make a beat you far post. And he got beat near post, which is, I don't know. It was still a great goal. And again, Germany definitely deserved to win.
The look on Messi's face when he went up, after the game, he went up to collect his golden ball trophy. And I can totally understand, like, he didn't want to be there, right? He didn't want to, he didn't smile, actually. He barely looked up and he didn't want to be there. And I was thinking, that must be super hard. You just lost the World Cup and you have to parade around tons of people, shake hands, and then collect your medal for second place. It must be so hard because that's probably the last thing you want to do. You just want to go back to the locker room, take a shower, go back to your hotel room, and just cry yourself to sleep for the next 6 months,
Right. And it's not just the loss of the World Cup. Like I said, he has this thing to prove to the Argentina people. He's constantly getting compared to Diego Maradona, which was a huge Argentina soccer star back in the 80s and the 90s. And that he brought them home to, I think, 2 World Cups.
Mm-hmm.
And Messi, this is his 3rd World Cup and no victories. So he maybe has 1 left in him. I'm trying to think of how old he is. I know he started young. He started at 17. But he maybe has 1 more World Cup at the stretch 2 if he's in super good shape. So, he's running out of time to really cement his place in Argentina history. Now, the rest of us, we know he's one of the greatest to ever live, ever play the game. And in his league play with Barcelona, he's outstanding. He has tons of records. I think he has a few La Liga victories and whatnot. But on the national level with Argentina, he still has something to prove, and he's running out of time.
Yeah. So are we. We are running out of time.
Right. 20 minutes in, and we haven't even started the Apple talk yet.
Okay, maybe we should then.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well,
I thought we lost Jeff for a second. I was like, oh,
I just
lost him again. Hey, Jeff, this was the World Cup finals. There's not going to be any World Cup talk for the next 4 years.
Awesome.
There's Euro Cup in 2 years, though.
Right. And I'm kind of looking forward to that, actually.
Yeah, I am too.
So, Jeff, you have 2 years to learn soccer and become a fan.
Okay, I'll get right on that.
All right, so what do you guys want to talk about today? Anything specific you want to...
I see this note on the show notes about the App Store turning 6.
App Store had its 6th anniversary. And you know what? I noticed we didn't really do a post on it. 6 isn't a major it's not I mean, it's 5 year. I think we did a post on App Store turning 5, and then would probably do one on 10. I don't know. For whatever reason, we didn't do a post on this, but it did hit its 6th anniversary. And I don't know if there was a lot of app sales. I don't know if the two are related. I don't think Apple specifically came out and said, hey, 6-year anniversary, check out these deals.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's just happened to be a lot of app sales,
Right.
and it was the 6th anniversary. So,
Yeah.
But still, anytime, it's when you're on that anniversary, you always think back, just like we did with the iPhone when it turned 7. We looked back at when, the first iPhone. And so I thought it'd be interesting if we kind of looked back at the App Store's history. I mean, 2008, right? July of 2008, Steve Jobs introduced the App Store. And it's funny to think that before that, you had stock apps and you had web apps. And I just can't imagine where we'd be right now if everything was limited to web apps.
Web apps were supposed to be the future.
Right. And that's the way they pitched them. And I don't know, you would need an internet connection. There was a lot of limitations there, a lot of limitations what developers could do. And yeah, I can't imagine what it would be like with what the iPhone and iOS platform would be like without the App Store today.
Yeah, I specifically remember Steve Jobs in 2007 talking about web apps being the next big thing. And I believe, actually I know on Apple's website, there was a section dedicated to web apps. So they were listed like basically an app store for web, not really an app store, but like a web app window where you could see all the web apps, plenty of web apps
portal,
available.
yeah,
portal, thank you. Plenty of web apps available for iPhones, so such as Wikipedia and so on. And I remember thinking it was just something was wrong with that. I was like, there has to be a better way. And I specifically remember what we like to call the homebrew community coming up with applications. I remember
like native
applications.
Yeah.
Of course, you had to hack your device to do this, to allow this. But I remember playing the racing game. Can't remember the name right now. It's killing me. On my first iPhone, the first gen iPhone, I was playing this racing game, and like all my friends were like, "Oh my god, how do you do this? How do you get this?" And I was like, "Well, that's fairly basic." And because I had that on my phone, I was like, "Why can't I have the same thing but more?"
Why can't Apple do this?
Why can Apple do this? And why are they forcing web apps onto everything? That just doesn't make sense. And finally, Apple, I think, came to its senses, and I guess realized there was a huge opportunity here, and started the App Store. Because I don't think when they introduced the iPhone, I don't think they imagined the App Store. I don't think the App Store was part of the plan, even though they already had iTunes. Because I think if the App Store had been part of the plan since the beginning, they would not have made such a big emphasis on web apps. They would have mentioned web apps, but they wouldn't have made such a big deal out of it, because they did make a big deal out of it back in the days.
I don't think it was part of the cards in the beginning.
I don't think so either. And I really think to this day that the homebrew community was really what fueled, what made Apple realize that there was something here, and probably someone that probably kicks himself in the face saying, why didn't we think about that? We have the iTunes store, and it's normal continuity to bring a different store for applications, for software to install on your device. And really now the rest is history. The App Store has over 1 million applications, and thousands of people rely exclusively on the App Store to make a living. And it's really changed the way we use our devices, our smartphones, really. And it started a new trend as well, because there was no App Store for Android. There was no App Store for BlackBerry. There was no App Store for Windows Phone. I don't think it was Windows. Well, yes, there was Windows. How did they call it?
Windows CE or something like that?
Yeah. So it really started a trend, and now everybody has an App Store. I mean, even Pebble has an App Store now. That says a lot.
I'm trying to think. I feel like somewhere along the line in the lawsuits with Android, it's come to light what Apple was doing in 2007, thinking about the App Store. Maybe not the Android trial, maybe not a Samsung trial, but I feel like we've seen something somewhere before where maybe somebody in the iPhone team suggested native apps and the majority of people didn't want to go that way, and slowly they just became more and more convinced. I don't know if I read emails or maybe I'm just making this up. It would be interesting to see what the thought was, because you have to think that not everybody on the iPhone engineering team was like, really, we're going to push web apps?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it'd be interesting to see that. I don't think, I've said this before, Android wasn't around in 2008, and I think even BlackBerry, I think they had I think there was fragmented stores that were not run by BlackBerry. You know what I mean? Like they were just run by third party. Because I know I had a Nokia at the time, N95, and I know that there was a place you could go to download really crappy games and maybe even crappy apps. I don't remember apps as much as I remember games. And for me, that's what the iPhone got the biggest right first. Well, maybe the touchscreen, the all touchscreen, the interface part of that was the first big right. But one of the biggest rights Apple got right with the iPhone was the App Store, because I've had multiple Nokia phones, I've had multiple smartphones, and that was always the biggest problem, was being able to get the phone to do what you wanted to do. Because if it didn't come in box, chances are you weren't going to find an app that would fulfill your vision of what you wanted your phone to do. You had such a bad selection of third-party software for these phones. So,
as we're talking, as I'm listening to you and thinking about what I just said, saying that I don't think Apple foresaw that they were going to do an app store, then I'm saying that, but then it doesn't really even make sense to me that they wouldn't have thought about it or even started on it, because when they introduced the App Store in 2008, they introduced like the programming language as well, right? So like that was something that definitely took time to build. It's not something they could have scrambled together a couple weeks before WWDC. So,
well, to be fair, I mean, Mac apps use the same.
yeah, they still
Basic.
use Cocoa and they still use C++, but I see what Sebastian's saying. You have to get Xcode ready to develop for iOS. There was a lot of work involved, and I totally agree. I think, they were spread so thin with the original iPhones. I'm sure Steve Jobs was pushing them to the limit, saying, hey guys, I want this and I want to get it out. Because he announced in January when a lot of stuff wasn't finished, right? In 2007, he announced the iPhone. A lot of stuff wasn't finished. They had to scramble to get everything put together, make sure it was going to work and up to Apple standards by June. And I just think this was one of the things that was lower on the list. And they kind of put web apps in there as like a filler. Maybe they didn't know that the App Store was coming the next year. I don't know. Again, that's why I said it would be super interesting to see what their thoughts were at that time before the App Store launched.
yep, without the App Store, Cody, you couldn't have like all your weekly deals and stuff.
You know what's crazy is one of my earliest memories of the App Store was I read that it was making people into overnight millionaires. And there was one in particular that the App Store launched like on a whatever day. And then seriously, like 2 or 3 days later, this guy quit his job. It was a guy that was making a game. I think it was called Hexa something. Or no, Prism. Maybe it was Prism.
Yeah. Trism.
Thank you. Yes, that's exactly it. The guy that made Trism. This guy made this game in a few hours' time and posted it on the App Store. And this thing, it charged 99 cents, I think. And this thing got downloaded like over 1 million times or maybe he charged a little more and it got downloaded a little less than 1 million times. But you get the idea. This guy was able to quit his job like the next day after posting this app. It totally changed his life. Instantly had all this money. I mean, it was crazy. I've kind of opened a whole new world of dream and creativity and imagination for me.
Yeah, when it first started, it was kind of the new El Dorado, really. Everybody was rushing for it, and it was probably like fishing in a barrel, like you say, because there was no real competition. There was probably lots of demand and interest, at least, in it, and there was no real competition. But things have changed, really.
Yeah, and you didn't have tens of thousands of other apps to sift through as a user to find the good ones. Mm-hmm. So you're exactly right. And a lot of people made a lot of money. You think about the Angry Birds, you think about the husband and wife team from Amanji that's behind the, the Endless Runner, popular Endless Runner. Wow, I'm totally drawing a blank here.
The guy, the guy in the jungle.
Temple.
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 Temple Run.
Temple Run.
Temple
There we
Run.
go.
Woo.
Yeah. So you think about those guys, they are in the tens of millions, if not more. They're starting to franchise out with that. Then you think of Doodle Jump. That's one that's been consistently in the top 200 since the App Store launched. And I read that they're very, very successful with that. So you look at how it's really changed a lot of these people's lives that would not be this where they are today without the App Store. It's crazy.
It is indeed pretty crazy. I mean, stop the craziness here, people.
I mean, somebody, please stop the craziness.
Yeah, it's much harder nowadays to release unless you're a big house like a Game Loft or EA Sports or something, or EA Games.
Yeah.
It's much harder to be noticed, to really pierce in the App Store, because there's so many apps and discovery is so hard. And it's not even really, I don't think it's a discovery problem from Apple's part, even though Apple could do a much better job to push discovery in the App Store. I think they're doing terrible. But even that, there's the sheer amount of apps that are released every day. Like, even if you have an amazing applications, maybe you have the best game in the world ever, but no one might ever hear about it because there's so many games out there, and maybe you didn't craft your PR email to some blogs good enough that they picked it up and started writing about it and starting a trend or something. And yeah, it almost seems kind of unfair sometimes.
So with that in mind, what do developers have to do to get your eye, Sebastian? What makes an app stick out to you to make you want to try it?
Design. If I see a screenshot and the design is on point,
yeah.
I'm instantly interested, honestly. If you have a busy design or it looks, it's not polished, or, I mean, if it's anything other than what I consider to be a sharp-looking app, I generally talk. And you guys probably do too, I get 10 of these a day, 10 of these pitches a day for these apps, if not more.
I'd say it's the app icon. Like, that's one of the first things that you see when you're just browsing the App Store is the app icon. And there's a lot of bad app icons out there. And I think that is such an underrated part of making your app stand out, that more developers should really focus on making a good app icon, because it's the first thing a lot of people see.
And you have to put it on your home screen, right? It's got to be there permanently. It's funny, like if a app has a bad app icon, it has to be that much better at what it does for me to keep it around. I got to go, okay, I'll throw it in a folder or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have to make that compromise if it's a bad app icon. If it's a good app icon, I really try to give it a chance.
Yeah, and it will not be on my front page on my home, like page number 1 on the home screen. I will not have a bad app icon on there.
A good example of this for me is Clear, the to-do list app Clear. Of just the fact that it has a good app icon and that the design is really well done. I constantly try to integrate it into my workflow, and I haven't been able to do it yet. It's been on my iPhone for I don't know how long. I purposely even try to use it. Like, I'll even put a to-do list item that's not even really a to-do list item. I'll be like, wash hands later, or something really dumb, just to really try to work it in there. And I always forget about it. Like, it's probably been weeks since I've opened the app, but I want to.
Go pee-pee.
Put pants on today.
Wow, that's reverse productivity here.
Right. So anyways, that's just my opinion. The good design, and I mean, the better the design is for the icon and the app, the more likely I'm going to try to use it.
Yeah. I'm not going to go as far as I'm not going to go as far as what you just explained, though. It sounds a little silly. No offense, but
that's okay.
No offense. No offense.
I'm the same way with Evernote, honestly. And that's not really because of design. That's because I know it can be, a lot of people say it's great. So I try really hard to work that into my work. And to the point where I'm almost forcing it, like doing reminders and drawing things to put in my notepad. And
Right.
Right.
I have spurs of wanted to do things like you just explained, like, for example, with Evernote, and people explain how great it works for them. And I've tried in the past, more recently, I think I tried to using a typing editor for Mac and OS 10. I was looking into it anyway. They have all these what is it, like IA Writer or Writer Plus or whatever they are. Like, well, basically, they are apps whose only focus is to focus on writing without any distraction and stuff like that. And I was looking into it. I don't know. I guess I read a couple of reviews and I was like, oh, that sounds awesome. And then I started reading about the apps and different options. And then I came to realize that my workflow is just fine the way it is. Like, usually if I want to type something that is long, I'm going to go in text edit and type it in text edit and then copy paste it into WordPress and work from there. But I felt like I had to change my workflow, even though my workflow is working pretty well in that instance. And I came to my senses. I was like, wait, I don't need an application that's basically going to replicate what TextEdit does. And maybe it's going to highlight like the repeated words or like suggest synonyms and stuff like this. But it's at the end of the day, it's not going to really improve my productivity, I think. And I just gave up on this idea of using a different application, really, because I thought it was going to help me. I don't know.
Right.
I guess it goes back to your Evernote thing where you've heard about it so many times that you think it's probably good for you, but it's not because it works for a few people or a lot of people that it works for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Well, I'm glad you agree. Because, on this podcast, you are forbidden to disagree with anybody else.
Right. You get silenced. You just get silenced.
Yeah, we just cut you off. We just cut you off. Yeah, Jeff will just cut you off if you disagree with him, for example.
Just hear these long silences in the podcast.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about something else.
No.
Okay. Oh.
No, it's fine.
Well, this isn't a huge deal, but it's probably worth noting. Over the weekend, some FCC filings were discovered that revealed Apple to be working on its own iBeacon hardware. Now, for those unfamiliar with iBeacon, Apple introduced the tech last 2013's WWDC. It's essentially technology, wireless, allows administrators to push out data to smartphones based on their location, right? So we've seen this picked up by a lot of people. I mean, this tech is really gaining support with retailers, right? We've seen it in American Eagles and Apple's own Apple stores and grocery stores even. I mean, to give you an example, maybe you walk down the dog food aisle and your phone pops up a message that says, hey, dog food's off, 20% off today, grab some. And what? That was a good example.
Oh, it's just funny for some reason. I don't know why.
And we're starting to see it in ballparks, right? Some sports stadiums. Major League Baseball seems to be a huge proponent. We're constantly hearing about how they're implementing iBeacon into their stadiums, giving people directions on how to get to the closest bathroom or how to get to the closest concession stand. So the technology is really picking up, but so far Apple has only been successful on the software side, right? This is its technology, but it's been leaving the hardware stuff up to third-party, manufacturers. Well, this FCC filing shows that Apple is, now working on its own hardware. It's called the iBeacon, and it's about 5 inches in diameter, and essentially just Bluetooth, kind of a ping station. And we don't know what they're going to do with it, right? It doesn't say in these documents that it's going to go on sale to the public. Like, it's possible that they could keep this for themselves for use in the Apple Store. It's also possible that they could sell these to other businesses, give them a low-cost iBeacon solution to really help build a structure for this, for the technology. Or they could be looking to make this a consumer product, put it in your home kind of thing. And maybe this is part of the big HomeKit initiative it announced at last month's WWDC.
So how would
Right?
that work in my home?
Everything?
I mean, I get how it works in a retail store, and I've actually been to the Apple store and I had the beacons in action telling me, you're in front of the accessories. Maybe it's time to pick up a case for your iPhone 5S or something. So they know what's going on. But how would that translate to my home? How would that be helpful for me? Do you have and I hope I'm not putting you on the spot by asking you, but do you have an example in mind of how that would work for me in my house?
Yeah. Yeah. So let's say HomeKit itself is a platform, right? It's saying, okay, all of you makers of accessories, these connected home accessories like Dropcam and Philips Hue, and give me another example, the Nest. It's saying, hey, accessory makers, we're going to give you a platform. Everybody can integrate into this. And so essentially, all of them will be able to talk to the iPhone the same. Apple wants to give users a one-stop shop way to access everything, not open up different apps and control different things. So I guess a way I could see this iBeacon helping is, imagine you put an iBeacon in your bedroom and maybe an iBeacon in your garage and maybe one in your living room. And let's say you have the Philips Hue system. Well, maybe as part of the HomeKit platform, Apple could enable geolocation. Now, if you're just using the regular old triangulation of Wi-Fi and GPS in your phone, it doesn't really work room to room. It's not made for that.
Right.
But if you have these iBeacons, it would be able to identify that, thus giving Philips Hue away that app to recognize that maybe you're in the living room, trigger this light. Maybe you're in the garage, trigger the garage door to open. I think location part of a smart home is very important, where you're at.
Right.
And I think this would help with that. Now, that's really far-fetched, honestly. If somebody asked me to bet money today, I would probably bet that they're just doing this as a low-cost business solution, or like an all-in-one, out-of-box solution for retailers who are nervous about the technology. But this is a possibility down the road. You could have iBeacons in your home. Were those good examples?
Yeah, it does make sense. It does really make sense. I think it makes more sense that Apple would want to sell these devices to consumers rather than businesses. I just don't see. I mean, I don't know. I don't see Apple selling $10 devices or $15 or $20 because these things are pretty cheap to businesses. I don't know. And like the example you gave me of the home makes much more sense to me, where it's actually pushing the technology in people's hands rather than in retailers' hands.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you could do with home automation when geolocation is involved, in terms of what room am I in. The possibilities are endless, actually. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I read this in a magazine or something, but I always heard that Bill Gates in his house had this technology where he could as he walked down a hallway, like the paintings would change on the walls, or maybe the walls, like there was just like it was detecting where he was at in the home. And I always thought, man, that's got to be $1 million or $1 billion system he had installed, and
Painting changes to say, "You're the best, Bill."
Or something. I don't know. I know I read somewhere where like somebody did kind of a mini tour inside his house.
Bill. Looking good.
So the fact that, that's what the connected home is looking, that's what that market looks like now, right? Is these once $1,000 or tens of $1,000 systems are becoming much more affordable for the average person and easier to use with like your drop cams and your Nest. These are all easy to use things. So I think the iBeacon could be a huge part of that if Apple is looking at the consumer market.
Fair enough. I do agree with you.
That's how we finish up topics now.
Yeah.
Or just
I agree.
or I do not agree. Jeff, do you agree?
I agree.
Well, great, then we all agree.
Then we can safely move on to the next topic of
Which
discussion.
is right. This one's about China. Sebastian, you did this initial story. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, I thought it was kind of ridiculous. This TV channel in China, I think called CCTV, which is a broadcasting arm of the National Party, really. So it's a completely biased media of China. I guess like
Right.
many media in China, you have to be biased, or else they don't have room for you.
It's state run. Yeah, it's run by the state.
Yeah, it's run by the state, so it tells a lot. But the CCTV released a documentary over this past week, highlighting how the iPhone location tracking feature can be seen as a national security concern for China. And that was I thought that was kind of ridiculous to begin with, and that's why I put up this quick post on IDB to not so much think about it and reflect on it, and just put it out there, and people can kind of make their own opinion of it. And I think the consensus is pretty clear that it's kind of BS. And Apple over the weekend published a letter on Apple's Chinese website. They published it in both Chinese and English, and where they completely refute these allegations that the company is constantly tracking your every move. And I think they highlight the fact that you can actually turn off location services on your iPhone if you feel really concerned about it. But I don't think this makes anyone feel any better. Anyone who buys into this conspiracy theory that Apple is tracking your every move. I think someone who believes this would probably believe that if you're turning off frequent location or location features on iPhone, Apple could still, if they wanted to, track you in the background and maybe send this location to some server and maybe share them with the NSA or something. And then, you can make like some crazy stories, obviously. And
Right.
And the Edward Snowden thing that's been going on for a year or two now makes us doubt pretty much everything now. We are doubting everything company do or say. We just don't really believe it anymore. But something tells me that Apple doesn't really care much about my location. I think that in the letter that they published, and I think you actually posted about this on IDB on Sunday, they do mention, Apple makes clear that yes, the company can track your location, but you can turn this off. But unlike many other companies, and they're really talking about Google here, unlike many other companies, Apple doesn't rely on your personal data to make money. Apple doesn't care about your data. I guess what they care about is what apps you bought and what music you're listening to, and maybe they're going to try to sell music or apps based on this history of yours. But that's about it. Apple doesn't care about your location. So, I mean, I think the letter by Apple was very well written and very on target and made it clear, but I'm not sure that's going to be enough for CCTV to agree to what Apple just said. And funnily enough, over the weekend on Sunday, actually, I was browsing the French newspaper, and I saw that one of the TV anchors of CCTV has been arrested for bribing and how do you say this? I mean, there's some weird, some bad allegation that he was accepting money. How do you call this? I'm looking for the specific word here.
You got it right with bribery. Yeah, bribery.
It was something else. There's a different word, but you get the idea. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like these guys. And as usual, Apple was the main target, but I think the bigger target here is U.S. companies in general, and China has been trying to develop their own things for a while, and I guess targeting American companies as a whole is one of their strategies to discredit American companies in the eyes of the Chinese people, in order to put their own companies in a better light. And push their own companies, which kind of makes sense. It's business, like you want to take down your enemy and you want your own to win. That makes sense business wise. But I think there is better ways to do it than the way CCTV did it over the weekend. I think it's kind of.
Imagine if like ABC News or something was run by the U.S. government. It's how weird, how strange that must be.
Right.
And this isn't the first time CCTV has got Apple to post a response.
Yeah.
A year ago, they did a report about how Apple treats warranties in China different than it does in a lot of other countries, particularly the U.S. And that forced Tim Cook's hand to post an open apology letter to the Chinese people. And I mean, that was a huge deal. So this is the second time they've kind of gotten under Apple's skin. I think Apple just really has to play ball. They know how influential CCTV is in China, which is a massive market. It's probably Apple's number one market now. They've only got 6% smartphone share. They're losing out to Chinese companies like I don't know how you say this. XIAM. Is it Xiaomi? Xiaomi. And they're losing out to them. They're losing out to Lenovo. They're losing out to even Samsung, obviously there. So it's a huge. It's China is expected to be Apple's biggest growth opportunity, right? With only 6%, they could sell a lot more phones there. So they really have to kind of play ball here, I feel like, no matter how ridiculous they think this sounds. Because you're right, if I was going to be nervous about any company and what they're doing with my, as far as tracking me or what they're doing with my information, I would definitely point to Google way before I pointed to Apple. Google is in the business of knowing what you do and where you're at with its advertisements.
Well, that's 95% of their money making here.
Exactly.
Your data.
Yeah,
Your data is how they make money. And so is Facebook, by the way. That's how Facebook makes money. By figuring out things about you and serving relevant advertising. Somehow I don't feel as threatened by Facebook as I feel by Google.
Well, Google's bigger and is in more areas of the web, right? Mm-hmm. Facebook is really just the social network. They tried to branch out with the home launcher system for Android. They've tried to branch out with a search engine. But really, when it comes down to it, it's just this social media site, whereas Google is in my web browsing, it's in my email, it's in my, if I use an Android device or something, it's knowing my texting and all that. So I think that's why they have the scary face. And the fact that they've been called, it's not that Google is just completely innocent, right? They've been called out on their privacy issues hundreds of times, and they've had to pay fines. They had to pay a fine to the government? The DOJ brought that thing about, I can't even think of it right now, but I know that they got in big trouble. They had to pay like a $25 million fine. So when you're found guilty of not playing by the rules in terms of privacy and security, it only makes matters worse, really.
Yeah, Jeff is pretty silent.
I just don't care.
You just don't care?
I just don't. Yes, we're being monitored. Yes, that's pretty much the end of the story. Yes, think companies are crooked. Yes. News at 11. There's nothing you can do about it, so just get over it. And if you want to use it. If you don't.
It's worth pointing out that the particular feature that the CCTV brought up was the frequent locations function that Apple introduced in iOS 7. This is more for it's trying to add context to your today view, knowing where, how long it's going to take you to get somewhere, work or somewhere like that. And again, you can turn this off. There's a specific switch to turn off frequent locations. But they said that the report from CCTV, it quoted researchers who said that those with access to this data could gain knowledge of China's economic situation and even they make this? They blow it so far out of proportion. It's not even funny. And it's just like,
how can you figure out the economic situation or find out about state secrets, quote unquote, by knowing that this guy goes to Starbucks every day around 8:30 a.m., right?
Their economic situation is good. There's a lot of people at Starbucks today. So
I actually after reading about this, I actually went into my iPhone and went to settings. What is it? Settings, privacy, location, services. Then it goes a little deeper because Apple doesn't put this straight in your face either. You have to dig deep to go in there. Hold on, let me figure it out because I get the beginning right, but then privacy, location services, scroll all the way to the bottom. System services. That's the one I was missing. System services, and then frequent locations. I mean, I'm like 5 levels down here, just, and then I can finally turn it off. But I was looking at my history, and my history is so depressing, man. I go to 3 locations in my life. I'm home, Starbucks, daycare. Home, Starbucks, daycare.
It like makes a perfect triangle on the map. Just
Isosceles.
right.
Actually,
That's
I have more
hilarious.
locations. I have like probably a dozen different locations. But that's I knew this was here. I saw it before. I went in these settings before, but I never really paid attention to it. And I went deep enough, and there was this location, 907 Neptune Avenue. I was like, what is this Neptune Avenue? It's the avenue by the beach. And that's actually where I go surf.
Hey, you told us that address one time, like you were joking, telling someone to come to your address, and that's the same address you used
Really?
in a podcast a long time ago. Like,
Yeah, I remember.
I remember
the
that
instance.
address.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that
remember
was the
this.
exact same one, though. I think I probably said 615.
Well, you
Neptune
said you
Avenue.
were. You said you were having a party. That's what it was.
Yeah.
You're like, hey guys, I'm having a party. Come to such and such Neptune Avenue.
Anyway, so if I click on the specific location, 907 Neptune, which again is a state beach, it shows me the dates I was there and the times too. I mean, it's very precise, like
Right.
16, well, from 4:09 to 6:13 to from 4:17 to 5:47. I mean, it's extremely precise. And it's actually, I mean, it can be scary and but it can be cool at the same time. Because yesterday I went through this, I was like, how long have I been surfing lately? You know, I'm like, okay, I've been surfing an hour and a half. Oh, 2.5 hours. That was a good surf session. So it's definitely some good information in there. But that's information someone could use against you, come for example your wife or something. If
Right.
or I don't know.
What's at Neptune Avenue? You keep going there. What's
That's that's the first street on which where I moved when I moved to California 11 years ago. That was the first street I lived on, and that is probably the most expensive street in my town, because that's the one street that's on the beach. Well, there's several of them, but that's where the bigger houses are on the beach or on the bluff anyway.
okay.
Yeah, so it's the best street to live on. If you live on this street, you probably have money. I didn't, by the way, when I moved there. I lived with my boss for like 3 months and then get an apartment on the same street, but it was like a tiny little 2-bedroom living with a weird guy who ended up being picked up by the cops. One day, okay, side story, like to tell you how crazy this guy was. Like he was drinking my alcohol. Well, I had vodka and stuff, and he was always drinking it, and he lost his job. The sheriff came because he spray painted his employer's building. So he got fired, and the same day he goes and spray paints the building. Like, I'm like, dude, you're stupid. They're gonna know right away it's you. So
Right.
Cops came over, whatever, and then he was jobless for a few weeks, and then the owner of the building kicked us out because I think she was over him, and I was a good tenant, you know. I was paying my rent to her on time and everything, but that didn't last long. I was there for like 2 or 3 months before she kicked us out. She pretended that she had to remodel the apartment and stuff, and anyway, she just wanted us out, which was fine by me. They gave me the opportunity to find a better roommate, but at the end, I was like, so what are you going to do, Chris? I said, I'm moving in. I found a new roommate. I'm moving up the street. What are you going to do? And he goes, well, there's a warrant for my arrest in Northern California. So I think I'm gonna go back up there and spend some time in jail so that I don't have to pay rent or pay for food or anything. I was like, wow, man, you are crazier than I thought.
That's the story of Sebastian's journey to America.
Yeah, just
Really?
sometimes
That's
I
pretty interesting.
Sometimes I'm still afraid I'm gonna see Chris somewhere in the streets. I'm like, oh, I hope I'm never gonna see him again. It just scares me. You know, it's one of these guys like you. I want to never have to do anything with him again. But he's probably either dead or in jail by now, I would think. I'm serious. Like, I would think he's either one or the other. And he's probably in jail for doing stupid things like, I don't know, stealing a purse from an 80-year-old woman or something.
Or he's listening to this podcast and like, So 7:05 Neptune.
Yeah, he's like, oh, this
Sebastian's
is where you surf
there
then,
3
huh?
times a week.
Okay.
Okay. We'll take our tinfoil hats off now for the China security concern. I guess you guys want to talk a little bit about, there wasn't a whole lot of iPhone 6. I guess actually there were quite a few iPhone 6 stories. iWatch rumors kind of died down, it seemed like, this week. But the iPhone 6 quite talked about. We're seeing a lot of leaked parts now, as we assume that means that production is ramped up ahead of the expected September unveil date. I mean, we're talking that's now just 2 months away, maybe a little less even. The latest talk came from KGI securities analyst Ming Chi Kuo. And
I feel like you say his name every podcast.
Right? Okay, I know I definitely said it on the last one.
He's a very prevalent analyst.
I know, it's just funny. Like,
but every time he takes the same tone, like he barely knows how to say his name. Like, oh, am I reading? Like it's the first time he reads his name. Like,
well, I'm scrutinized all the time over how I pronounce stuff, so I just want to make sure I say it correctly. Otherwise, I'm going to get 20 tweets later.
Yeah, so
haha, Chinkuo. But anyways, yeah, and he's not just a prevalent analyst, but he obviously has a lot to say about the iPhone 6 and the iWatch. I mean, we're coming into Apple's busy season, right? They've been quiet all year. They don't release any new products in spring anymore. They do it all in the fall, and we're rapidly approaching that. So what he said in his note today is something we've heard a few times now, is that the 5.5-inch iPhone is going to be delayed, or is very likely going to be delayed into 2015. Reuters had a similar report a few months ago, and we've heard this 3 or 4 times now. It seems like the production issues are going to cause the larger iPhone to come a few months after the 4.7-inch model. What do you guys think? I mean, I can't wrap my head around Apple releasing a new handset 6 months after, the flagship. Like, can you imagine iPhone? Like, could you have imagined the 5C coming 6 months after the 5S? That makes even more sense than what this would make. Because, I mean, if you tell people a 5.5 inch is coming, or they're expecting it to come because they've read it so often in the reports, I feel like your initial sales, the 4.7 inch sales, are going to be hampered by that, or hindered by that.
It's so hard to say.
Yeah, it's so unpredictable, or it's hard to tell what they would want to do or how that would pan out, really.
I really don't see them waiting that long, though.
Well, they may have to, right? Because who was it? I think Chris did like kind of a op-ed, or he just put some thoughts down on a post about why Apple might have to wait until spring of 2015 to release the larger 5.5-inch iPhone 6. And I think that followed reports that mass production for the 5.5-inch iPhone 6 wasn't going to start till November. And he made a good point, like if you start production here in November, you can't have people buying it till late November, and you miss a lot of the holiday crowd. People start doing their holiday shopping in August, I think, for the really early birds. I think it really ramps up in October. And then you have, of course, Black Friday in mid or late November. So if they can't get it out by then, you have to assume that they would have to wait until next year.
Well, at least, I guess if you're going to put a positive spin on that, at least it will diversify their release schedule. They would at least have, say it was going to come out in spring. Maybe they go with that model going forward, or maybe that's a good thing because that means there's not this lull throughout the year,
right?
As they wait for a new product to come around.
Yeah, because Q1 and Q2 are typically, I mean, they even say that in their reports or whatever, right? Apple does. They're like, this is typically a slower season. We're off cycle on the iPhone refresh. They don't do iPads in the spring anymore. So yeah, those are typically down quarters where introducing a new product then could definitely bump that up. Handsets, I don't know. So like, what if, would they announce both of them in a September event and say this one's coming next year? I think that really shoots yourself in the foot.
Yeah, I think if it's going to take 6 more months for the device to show up, I think you might as well keep it on the down low and don't mention it, and just introduce the new iPhone, the one that's going to be available a week or two later, and surprise everyone maybe with a different event in in March or something and say, hey, we have another iPhone coming up. But then it throws everything off because this device is probably using like 6 months old technology.
Exactly. That's my fear.
It just stuck like sitting between two chairs, right? It's like, okay, what do you do? Like, do you go with the new, bigger iPhone that's using 6 months old technology? Or maybe you wait another 6 months and get the iPhone 7, that's going to be, all new, updated, everything, technology, better, everything. More better, everything.
Or is that, next year, technically, if we look at Apple's history, the next year's iPhone would be the S model, would be the 6S or whatever.
That's true.
Just based on Apple's track record.
Right.
And if you increase the screen size this year to 4.7, do you really go to 5.5 next year? Is that the natural progression? I think Apple, and we saw this in court documents, some internal slides from the company, they're saying why. It was basically them trying to explain why there's been such a drop-off in growth in the iPhone. And one of them they attributed was they want a larger display. I think Apple's very aware of that. I think that they know that there is a demand out there, even if it's not, overwhelming majority. There's still a large demand out there for phones that are 5 inches plus. So I don't think they just come with the 4.7 inch this year. I think they come with the 5.5 inch. And at the worst case scenario, they introduce it, they launch it, and launch supplies are just going to be severely constrained.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. I was going to say, like you said, if they could just say, hey, both iPhones will be available at the same time, maybe, but the unlimited quantities for the larger iPhone, and they just release it drop by drop. And that wouldn't be the first time they do this either. I mean, it's been like if you think about the gold iPhone 5S, it took me, I think, a month and a half to be able to get one of these.
Exactly.
So they were making them available little by little. I guess as they were available, as quick as possible, but that was still on a drop by drop basis. So I think that would be a better way for Apple to handle this rather than wait 6 months and say, hey, we have 20 million units and go get them. That wouldn't work, I think.
Well, and you have to think about it this way, too. For all the people, let's say they don't mention it at all and they save it for maybe spring of next year, the larger one. So they do this 4.7. A lot of people are coming up after 2-year upgrades. I feel like if you're not super tech, super early adopter like we are, you probably try to align your 2-year contract with the 5, 6, the solid model years, right? Not the S models, but the solid models. And so, they're expecting a lot of people to upgrade to the new iPhone this year. If you do that and then you announce something 6 months from now, how many of those do you sell to the people who are already wrapped up in contract? You have to think about that. That's another reason why Apple has done, or I guess why people have speculated that Apple does just the 1-year thing versus, Samsung does 10 handsets a year, it seems like. I know they at least do their Galaxy S whatever and then their Note. Those are always on opposite ends of the year. And Apple doesn't really do that because it knows that at the most people are upgrading once every year. Most people are upgrading once every 2 years. I think you kind of shoot yourself in the foot to try to go up at a 6-month mark. I don't know.
I guess we shall see.
I was waiting for your catchphrase to pop up today. We shall see.
And still, Jeff is very quiet.
I don't know. I'm just like...
This is not your day, Jeff.
Well, it's just like...
Not exciting?
I'm just ready to get it already.
Yeah,
Stop
I know.
teasing me.
Right. I'm here too. Yeah. Oh, well.
But I am excited to talk about some accessories that you guys use. Because...
Here is finally some excitement. Well, tell us about what you use. We've been thinking about doing this for a while, actually, talking about some of the accessories we use, because people often ask us on Twitter or in the comment section or stuff like that, what kind of cases and screen covers and chargers and all that stuff that we use. So maybe this might be the right time to share our accessories with people.
I think so too. And last week we were supposed to do this, but for some reason, I think we just ran out of time.
Yeah, it was a time constraint issue.
think it had something to do with some soccer game called a World Cup.
This guy. Hey, Jeff, tell us, what do you use? What is your accessories?
I use a 12 South book case, and I've been using that for a very long time. Since the original came out for, I believe it was the iPhone 4, or maybe.
Yeah, I think it was the 4. I remember you first doing this initial review. Do you just update to the latest model then as you update your iPhone?
Well, yeah. What happens is that, okay, with the iPhone 4 and the 4S, obviously those were both 3.5-inch screen sizes, and the book case worked for both of those devices. And the same thing went for the iPhone 5 and the iPhone 5S. You got the 4-inch screen, and the book works for both of those. So it seems like every 2 years you have to upgrade your case or whatever you use to cover your device. I will say, though, that the previous book, because they changed the design a little bit, they changed some things around. They made it so there's now a camera hole in the back of the device, so you can actually take photos without taking your phone out of the case. You used to have to slide it up out of the case to take a photo, but now there's a spot for the flash and for the camera. So that's nice, but the design is definitely not as good. It's not as durable. Like, I'm looking at it right now, and part of the inside portion of the case is peeling back, and it's just sort of like revealing its innards, which isn't good. It's kind of surprising because you think 12 South, you think of quality or good design, long-lasting products, but this one definitely started failing me very close to when I purchased it. So it's a little disappointing. You guys ever considered getting like a book or a wallet case in general?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I've had them. I had one that was made by Hex, HEX, and then I had one that was made by, the whole time you were talking, I was trying to think of the name of this company that, it was in my gift guide last year. They make wooden cases with leather. Anybody have any idea? Notebook. Okay, you're gonna make me Google it real quick. Man, it's like right on the tip of my tongue.
12 South?
No, not 12 South. That's for the book. Who's the other? Here, I'll just go to my. This will take 2 seconds.
6 North.
Okay, that was awful, Jeff. We're pulling up. Here's my gift guide. Cody's picks. Scroll down to Pad and Quill. Little pocket.
Oh.
Woo! I'm so glad I got that figured out. Anyways, yeah, I used that wallet case for a long time, actually. And it's very well made. The leather is hand-stitched leather. Wood is, I think, also hand-carved. Very smooth. It's got some stuff in there to make sure it's not going to scratch your phone. And I got compliments on it everywhere I went, even the Apple Store. I remember I was doing some Christmas shopping at the Apple Store in December of last year, and the guy helping me was like, "Hey man, where'd you get that case?" And so I got compliments on everywhere. The bulk, I think, just got to me eventually. It was just almost too big to fit in a pocket, and so. But anyways, what are your other accessories, Jeff?
My other accessory it's kind of not exciting at all, but it's an Apple Smart Case, and I use that for my iPod or my iPad Mini with Retina display. And I do like this thing. Previously I've had iPads and I've just had like a smart cover on it, but it's nice to have the full coverage. It makes it so your iPad is more tossable. I don't know if that's a good description, but you can just toss it around and not have to worry about it getting scratched or dinged up, even on the rear of the device, which is nice. So I like that a lot. And that's pretty much all I use as far as accessories. And I know that might be surprising to some people, but
oh no, you're Mr. Minimalist. I'm surprised you had 2 accessories. What about you, Sebastian?
Jeff is so minimalist that having 2 accessories is 3 too many. I should have kept this for the joke section. I don't use much, guys. And like Jeff, I'm kind of a minimalist when it comes to stuff like that. I don't use cases. I do not use screen protectors. Mostly because I'm home most of the day, most of the time, and my iPhone is either in my pocket or on the desk. It's not like I have a very active job where I'm out and about and moving and taking my phone out of my pocket all the time. If that was the case, I would probably get a case for my iPhone to protect it, but I just don't feel the need for it. The one accessory that I have for my iPhone is sitting on my desk, and it is the High Rise by 12 South. Just like Jeff, I'm kind of fond of this product. I've been looking for I had been looking for a dock actually for my iPhone for a while, and I was using rock form, like the rock form. I think they call it dock form by rock form. It's a big, huge piece of aluminum. It's a big cube, basically, of aluminum, super heavy, and you put your iPhone in it. That's what I used for a while. And then one day, 12 South sent me this one, and it was just perfect. It's very light. It's very minimalist. It looks very thin. It looks very elegant. It really matches the design of the iMac. And it's a very good stand or dock that I've been using for several months, probably maybe even a year now, because I think I had it last year. It also works with iPad mini, which is really nice without changing anything. I can, dock my iPhone 5S, take it out and put my iPad mini in there without moving any parts or anything like this. It just fits right in. So this is one of my favorite accessories. This is most likely the accessory that has been on my desk for the longer time, as far as I can remember. For my iPads, I use iCarbons.com skins. They are vinyl skins made of 3M vinyl. They're very high quality. They're fairly inexpensive. And we also do giveaways with this guy from time to time. So you should check them out. I like using it I used to use it for my iPad, for my iPhone and iPad. I've been going completely naked on iPhone recently, but I still use it for my iPad.
Hey, this is a family show.
I still use it on the iPad because the iPad is on the coffee table, and I don't care as much for the iPad. I'm not as careful with my iPad as I am with my iPhone. My iPhone, I'm going to take it out of my pocket, put it on my desk. My desk is always clean. But on the coffee table downstairs, it is clean too, but there is some metal hinges and stuff. It's a nice old wood crate with metal hinges. So there's risk of getting it either dinged up or at least scratched. So I use this on my iPad. It looks very nice. I have, I think, the black carbon look. And that gives me the protection, really, I like to have for the back of my iPad. Lastly, the last accessory that I use that you guys have been using too, I know you used to use it anyway, is the Pebble smartwatch. And I'm a big lover of my Pebble. I have it on my wrist right now. That's the first thing I do when I get out of bed in the morning. I put my watch on to make sure I don't forget it, because if I forget it, I feel like, again, I'm naked. Like I'm like, oh, I forgot something. It doesn't feel right. And that's definitely one of my favorite accessories too. I never thought I would like it as much as I do. It allows me to have my iPhone in the pocket. If I get a text message or a phone call, I can just look at my wrist, figure out what it is. I don't have to take the phone out of my pocket unless I want to pick up the phone call or reply the text message. So it is very helpful. I also use it to pay at Starbucks. Not only it's pretty cool, but it makes me look super cool, because from time to time, the new Starbucks baristas or customers are like, oh my God, what is this? How did you pay? Did you pay with your watch? I'm like, yeah, what is it? And usually I make a joke like, well, it's new Apple Watch, but I can't tell you about it. That's usually what I tell people. I just lie to them. And then I tell them, no, I'm just kidding. It's whatever, Pebble. Yeah. So these are my 3 accessories, and I've got drawers full of accessories, but I don't use any of these. I have tons of screen protectors, cases, stuff like that, and keyboards for iPad, but I don't use any of these, really. Yep. I'm kind of a simple guy, living a simple life. What about you, Cody? What do you have? What good deals do you get on these accessories?
Good deals. Actually, I don't know about. Maybe I got some good deals on the headphones. Anyways, so I guess I'll start off with the Mophie Juice Pack. This is just like your standard case with a built-in charging block or whatever, however you want to say it. You drop your iPhone in. This is made for the iPhone 5/5S. You drop your iPhone in it. It's actually just two pieces. It slides apart. And so I like how easy it is to pull apart. It's really easy to put on. And it extends your battery life. It's supposed to double it, but I don't think it, or not supposed to double it. I think it's just supposed to come close to doubling it. My iPhone has terrible battery life. I can't make it through a third of a day without having to slip this thing on. So it's kind of become one of my more prominently used accessories. What, is your iPhone last all day or?
Yeah. Are you on the phone all day making phone calls or watching videos?
Not at all.
Okay, so then you need to do a restore and
I just did that. I just updated to iOS 7.1.2, whatever the latest is, and I always set up completely as new. I never restore from previous stuff, so I don't know. Maybe it lasts through. Maybe if I don't know. Now you're making me doubt. I really think it just doesn't last very long. I know I use this every day, but I usually put it on later in the day. I start noticing my phone is dying, and so I will put this case on, and that'll take me through the night to when I can drop it on the charger or whatever. But so I like this. It's simple. It works as advertised. I also have a Mophie, an actual like external charging pack. So like a little square block, if you can imagine, it's about the size of a deck of cards. I like that as well. But that's usually, we'll take that with us if we're going to go somewhere for the day, or, if I just think I'm going to need a charger wherever I'm at. In Oregon, when I used to live about an hour from the beach, we used to take it out there. So that's one accessory I also use. Okay, so I'm a huge proponent of the LifeProof case. I think I talked about this before when I got back from Mexico, because this thing is waterproof, not water resistant. This thing is waterproof. I'm sure there's a depth limit, but this thing is ocean tested. We took this out in the ocean with us every day. LifeProof also makes what's called a life jacket. So you have your LifeProof case on your iPhone. The life jacket is this big orange foam thing that you slip your iPhone that's in the LifeProof into this thing, and it'll float around in the ocean. So we literally just let this thing go. One time it kind of drifted too far, and I was like, oh goodness, and I had to swim out there and get it. But it's pretty cool. We used it to take pictures while we were snorkeling, and the combination of those two things was just great. We used it in the pool to play music. I can't recommend these two things enough. In fact, I went to LifeProof's website to check out this life jacket. It's $30, but they're sold out, and they've been sold out for the last few weeks. So I'm not sure where else you could pick one up, but I highly recommend it and the LifeProof case. LifeProof case, I don't have it on every day because it is kind of bulky, and I can't drop it in my Sony dock that I use overnight. But if I'm gonna go mow the yard, or if I'm going to just be out and about for the day, I'll usually put it on. And I like that it's fairly easy to put on and take off as well. And then my last accessory is the Beats Tour in-ear headphones. I'm not a huge audiophile, but I want better sound than what the AirPods give you. And I actually just really like the style of the Beats Tours. I like the little bee on the edge of the earbuds, and I like the little case they gave you. So I think I found a deal for these online at some point. And
here you go. Here's a deal.
That's all I was waiting for.
No, I don't know. Yeah, I know I didn't pay for full retail for these, and I like these. My girlfriend actually has Beats, I think the Studios, the really big ones, and she likes those, but I didn't want anything huge like that. And I don't have a need for headphones very often either. Like Sebastian said, I'm at home throughout the day. If I want to, I can just blare my speakers, right? I don't need earphones. So I usually only do this if I'm traveling, especially on airplanes. I'll take these, and it'll help get me through my flights. But I recommend them. I think I paid less than $100 for them. So if you're looking for good looking, decent sounding, again, I think if you go to these review websites like the Wirecutter or some of these others, they'll recommend better headphones for cheaper prices. But I've wanted a pair of these, and I got them, and I'm happy with them. So that's pretty much.
And that's all that matters, really, at the end of the day.
What, that you're happy with?
Just that you're happy.
Is that you're happy, Cody? Like I said, I used that pad and quill case for a while. I don't have a case other than this LifeProof case right now, and I'm kind of, you know what happened? Every time I get an iPhone, and this happened last 3 or 4 times, I'm like, all right, Cody, you're not gonna let this one get scratched, because my iPhone 5 got scratched right in the middle, and it's a really big eyesore. And so when I got this gold iPhone 5S, I was like, this is gonna be beautiful till the day I sell it or whatever. And so I got what is it? The Zag protector for the front and back. I got that at, I think it was Best Buy when I bought this, and I had them put it on, and it lasted good for 6 months. But after like the 6-month mark, it started rolling up because you could see where I was putting it in my dock. The back was starting to come up, and there was dirt on it, and it started looking really trashy. So I eventually took it off, and I think like 2 days after I took it off, I dropped my phone, and there's scratches all over the bottom now. So
I cannot.
I had
deal
one
with
of those
things, man. I hate.
well,
those.
it was really thin. It was really thin, and honestly, unless you took a second to look at it, you couldn't tell it was on there. Maybe.
Yeah, I had
Oh, go ahead. I was pretty much done.
I had one of those for my iPhone 5 for the back,
Right.
and you couldn't tell it was there.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell. And I took it off a few months ago when I got my iPhone 5S. I was like, okay, I'm going to remove it. Now the iPhone 5 is going to be in the museum, so it's not going to get much activity.
Right.
And the back is perfect, and you couldn't see it. Like, I mean, yeah, if you looked at it if you like paid really close attention, you would notice it, but you wouldn't tell otherwise. And I wish I had done that with my 5S, because I do have a scratch. I think my daughter did this. I do have a pretty big scratch on the back of the device. So it's in the back. It's
the
not bad.
back's one thing, but it's like the front.
Yeah.
I cannot. The tactile
the
feedback
front is,
you get from any. I don't care how thin the screen protector is. It still diminishes the tactile feedback somewhat.
True.
On the
True, which is why I don't use one for the front. They do have the glass
ones,
screen protectors, and I've reviewed a few of them. I review the same one, where actually the updated model once a year or every other year, and they're really, really good. They're probably, if I had to use a screen protector, that's what I would use. The one I'm thinking specifically is I think it's called Spigen.
Spigen, yep.
Spigen. And I think it's called the Glass T. They have different variations, the Glass T Light and stuff like that. The Glass T Slim, I think it's called. And you can see, I mean, some of them are a little thicker. You can see it's here, but you don't, the tactile, the feeling when you touch the screen is exactly the same as if you didn't have a screen protector. So really, if that was your main concern, I would go with one of these glass screen protector. They do add some thickness, but the touch is exactly the same.
You know, my problem, where I cause the most damage to my phone, is I'll put my phone in my lap, because I have Bluetooth in my car, Bluetooth audio even, so that I'll control the music with my phone, throw it in my lap, and then right when I turn off the car, I park and I get out, I forget it's in my lap, so this thing just drops from my lap to either, it hits the car and falls, or just falls onto the concrete or wherever I parked. And that's happened 3 or 4 times just with this model. And I can see like all the bumps and bruises across the bottom.
Dude, you need to update your car. Get a car with CarPlay. Come on now.
Well,
get rid of that thing.
this Acura
Get a car with
is
cup
like
holders.
3 months
Get a car
old.
with cup holders so you can put your phone in cup holders. That's what I do.
See, I've done that before. I think that's what my habit used to be. But at one point, I put my iPhone in a cup holder that had some condensation at the bottom, and it got water all in the bottom, and it kind of scared me. So I don't put it in the cup holders anymore, really. Seriously, after the last time that I dropped this from my lap onto the concrete, I put on my LifeProof every time I'm going out. Like if I'm going to go get in the car, it's LifeProof time.
Yeah, the first thing Cody does when he gets in the car is put his seatbelt, look at the mirrors, adjust the mirrors, put his phone in the LifeProof, put the phone next to him, put the seatbelt around the phone, and goes off.
Exactly. That's not far from the truth, actually. I've done this so many times now that I always double check to make sure where my phone's at and if it's in danger before I get out. Okay, where's my phone? Okay. Put it in the seat.
Is my phone in danger?
I'm going to walk around to the other side of the car, open the car door, and pull it out of the seat. Oh, man. So, yeah, my beautiful gold iPhone 5S has noticeable bumps on the bottom that I'm gonna have to mention in the eBay ad when I sell it. So sad.
Just say the truth. Your phone got into a bad car accident. Jim wrote a post, a review of an accessory a couple of weeks ago. It's called the Airframe, and the company's name is Kenu, Kenu.
Right.
And check it out. It's on IDB. That's one of his accessories that I'm most definitely going to buy when I get my bigger iPhone, because I think it's up to a certain size, and I think it's up to like 4.5 inches or 5 inches. So I'm going to wait to get the iPhone, and I'm getting one of those that are $20 or something, and you just put it in the air vent of your car. They're very simple, very lightweight. They don't add much bulk or anything. I remember Jim when we were at the convention.
Thing.
He loved that thing. When we were at the convention in San Francisco a few months ago, he had this in the car. I was like, "What is this? I love that stuff." I like small, easy, simple accessories, and the Kenu Airframe is one of these things. So check it out. It's on the site.
Okay. Yeah. I know I saw the post. I just didn't go too much into depth into it. I'll have to look in further.
It actually was pretty successful, I think, in the comment section. Like people were praising it, I believe. And then there were people complaining about it because it's in front of the air vent. So during the winter, when you have the heater running, where your phone is directly on the heat, during summertime, your phone is directly on the air conditioning. So yes, that could be a problem, but I don't know. I like the simplicity of the device. So I think I'm going to be picking one of these up. Yeah, and as I'm saying that, I look at the apps that we have been downloaded this past week, and I see that, Cody, you downloaded the 7-Eleven application.
Yes, I did.
Now you have some explaining to do.
Right. Why would you download the 7-Eleven app? On July 11th, it is Free Slurpee Day at 7-Eleven. I tweeted about this, and I go and pick one up every year. I mean, honestly, right now I probably get Slurpees 2 to 3 times a week, if maybe a little more. My girlfriend really likes them too. But there was one point, especially I think during my college years, where I got at least one Slurpee every day. I mean, they're just so good, and as hot as Texas gets, I mean, we're in triple digits right now. It's just really refreshing. So it's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like an icy, or people who aren't familiar with Slurpees. That's the best way I can explain it.
I had a Slurpee once, and I was terrible. Like, everybody was praising it. And one day, after going surfing with my friend, he stopped there at 7-Eleven to get one, and I had one of his. That was disgusting.
Oh, it's so good, man.
Well, but
then people told me I had the wrong combination. Like, people were like, "What did you put in there?" And I put 3 different flavors. I don't even remember what it was. But and they were like, "Oh yeah, that was a terrible combination. You should have done that or this or that."
Yeah, it's a science. I've got it down to a science. I mean, they switch up flavors a lot, but Coke is a staple. It's always there, and I mix that sometimes with pina colada. I mix that sometimes with what's another one? I think they had like a watermelon one at one time. You just have to know which ones you can mix and which ones you can't. They have a lemonade flavor right now that's really good, and I can even remember there was a time where they sold these Slurpee cups that had dividers in them, so you could put 3 different flavors in with 3 different straws, and essentially either drink them together, right? Put 2 straws in your mouth, and that would mix the flavor, or you could drink them one at a time, and that was really cool. If anybody from 7-Eleven's listening, bring those back. But no, I don't know how I came across the app. I actually think it was like in the top 10, honestly, in the free, because I look at the lists every so often. I think it was in the top 20 or so free apps in the App Store because of Free Slurpee Day. And it said that it's like, hey, download this and receive free coupons for free Slurpees. So of course I'm like, okay.
How many is it?
What is it?
How many coupons did you get for free Slurpees?
Oh no, it's I think that's just saying that's one of the deals. I think they either have daily deals or weekly deals, and I think that's just one of them that will eventually pop up in rotation. Right now it's a free Big Gulp is what the coupon says across my phone, and I mean, Big Gulps are cool, but I'm holding out for the Slurpee. So that's why I have that app. It's terrible. It took forever to set up. It's not very well designed. Like, it took me like 20 minutes to seriously to figure out what the weekly or daily deal was. So I don't really recommend it unless you're just diehard Slurpee fan and looking to score some free Slurpees.
All right. What other applications did you get?
Well, Assassin's Creed Pirates was Apple's free app of the week. It was a huge week for deals. I think I even tweeted as much. I was like, man, the deals just keep on coming because, I mean, Threes, that's that real popular, well-designed puzzle game. Bleck and what was it? Monument Valley something like that. All of these well-designed games that actually were Apple Design winners, award winners, announced at WWDC this year. They were all on sale, right? Some of them as much as 60% off. Like I know Threes is normally $1.99. I think it's 99 cents. Bleck was a really big sale. I think that one's normally $2.99. It's 99 cents. So I picked up a couple of these. I picked up Bleck and I think I looked at like Monument Valley and some of these other ones, but I just wasn't sure if I would really like them. Bleck's been in the top 10 or 20 in the paid apps for a long time, so I felt I had to try it out. I still haven't played it yet, but I bought it. So I got that. I got Pirates. I've been meaning to download, what is it? OTTD. It's a tower defense game. That was just named IGN's Game of the Month, so it's free. That's normally $3 or $4. So like I said, just a ton of deals. I'm trying to take advantage of all of them and then obviously let you guys know about them.
Cody has every app ever on the App Store and he's only paid $3.
I feel like that, when we get to the end of the rope there, I feel like that's what I can look back and be like, I spent $20 and I have 10,000 games. And then finally I got Verizon Fios's mobile app. I'm super unimpressed with Verizon Fios, the service right now, but the mobile app's actually really good. AT&T had a good mobile app too. I like that you can set your DVR. Like yesterday, I was actually out of my house and we were about an hour away actually outside of town and at a flea market. And I was like, man, if I'm going to be late for this World Cup, I got to set it up to record. So I actually just right there from my phone over LTE, I set up the World Cup final to record. And I love being able to do that. I love that freedom. And you can also watch TV. You can stream live TV to the phone and watch on-demand stuff and even stuff from your DVR. I mean,
that's cool. Watching stuff from your DVR. That's awesome.
Well, I guess I don't know because AT&T you couldn't do that. I thought I saw the option to do that with the new Fios app, but I haven't tried it, so don't quote me there. But everything else I've said is totally possible because, like I said, I could do it with AT&T. It's just so cool what these things can do these days. I mean, I remember an early cable boxes that were just awful, and I'm not saying that today's experience is not awful. And actually, I really don't like Fios's interface. But it's just cool some of the stuff you can do with them, especially if you have one of these cable services, get the app for it. You're probably missing out on a ton. I use mine as a remote too, just sitting in the house. You touch a button and a remote pops up on your phone and that can be your remote. If for some reason you don't know where the remote is, or let's say you're lazy, you don't want to get up and go get it, you can just pop open this app.
Sweet.
Hey, Cody, speaking of the World Cup again yesterday, you mentioned you were not going to be able to watch the beginning of the game. You said that on Twitter. How did you think? Did you see my text message?
Okay, so here's the deal. I said on Twitter that it was an hour. I was going to be like an hour behind. I actually ended up being like 4 hours behind. I didn't start this game. I actually ended up going over to a buddy's house who was also incapacitated for most of the day. He's like, okay, I've got it recorded. I'm not looking at my phone. We're not going to know the score. It's going to be just like we're watching it live. I was like, okay, cool. I'll try to stay off Twitter and Facebook and not look at text messages. And so, yeah, I didn't start the game, I don't think, till either 7 or 8 last night. And I saw Sebastian Page text message me, and I was like, it might be about work, so I probably need to look at it. So I covered most of the message up, and all I saw was, I can't believe Messi. And I was like, no, I didn't know what, for 4 hours, that's all I was thinking about was what happens to Messi? Does he get hurt in like the first 5 minutes? So I had a good laugh at that after I looked at it.
I totally trolled Cody. I saw his tweet saying, I'm going to be off Twitter because I'm not going to be able to see the game on time. I'm going to be off Twitter. And so I saw that. I was like, okay, I'm going to troll him. And I sent him a text message saying, I can't believe Messi scored 3 goals in 20 minutes. Who would have believed that stuff? So yeah, you didn't get to read the text, but that got in your head a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I just kept thinking the rest of the day, like, what happens to Messi? Does a sniper take him out, or what the heck is going to happen? But it's funny because I finally read the text message, and we were at like the 80th minute. So I figured, you know what? At this point, there'd been no goal scored, and I was frustrated. I was like, I'll look at my text real quick, just see what it said. And Sebastian said, he goes, I can't believe Messi scored 3 goals in 20 minutes. So I'm thinking, well, he hasn't scored. I didn't know he was trolling, I guess, to start with. So I'm thinking, hey, is Messi about to go off here and score 3 goals in the last 20 minutes of this game? And unfortunately, that didn't happen. But yeah. So your text actually worked 2 ways. It worked twice on me.
Good. I'm glad.
So yeah, we went out to a flea market. Well, it's hard to call it a flea market. It's kind of just like a trader's. I don't know. They have arts and crafts, and my girlfriend wanted to go, so we went and checked it out. And it was quite a ways outside of town, so I ended up not getting back till much later than I wanted to. And so yeah, we ended up watching the World Cup pretty late. All right, Jeff.
All right.
Jeff, what are your apps? You never download any apps ever. What is your apps?
I'm just testing out a 1Password beta right now, which is really cool because you can, with iOS 8, it allows you to submit passwords directly from Safari using the new extensions feature, which is just amazing. And it works gloriously. So, yeah, 1Password is definitely a whole new app now that iOS 8 is here in beta.
And it works gloriously. What is that, old school? I see blue, and it looks glorious.
It's an amazing app. Just it made that much better by iOS 8.
So you might have just pointed these out, but I was trying to think of that quote. What is so extensions? I guess how does that work? Like so Safari extensions?
Yeah, basically when you are on a page where it's asking for login and password. Say I go to IDB's login page, and normally you would have to, if you use 1Password, you would have to exit the app, open up 1Password, find your login in 1Password, copy the login, close 1Password, reopen the Safari app, paste in the password, and then hit submit. Well, now all you do is you hit the share button, tap the 1Password share little button, and it will open up 1Password in its own little sheet over top of Safari, and you just tap on the like the entry containing the site that you want to submit. It sounds a lot more convoluted in talking about it, but really it's just a super simple process. You just tap share, tap 1Password, tap the site you want to log into, and it logs you in automatically.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Are they doing anything with Touch ID yet?
Yeah, it actually works with Touch ID as well. So that's even better. Yeah, so you don't even have to verify. Like all you do is you tap the 1Password button in the share menu, and then you just verify with Touch ID, and it automatically goes to the page where you can tap on the login you want to use. Tap the login, and it logs you in. It's awesome. It really is
looking forward to that.
Pretty cool.
It's a game changer for sure. Like it really does make iOS feel like it feels whole now. If it doesn't feel like disjointed like it once did. Whereas, I would go to Android and be jealous over some of the features that, Android had, like third-party keyboards and things like this, being able to easily log in. But now it feels like a real, like I can be productive on a much grander scale than I could in the past. It's not all these silly like loopholes you have to jump through. It makes sense now.
Well, if Jeff said it's a game changer, that dooms it. So I'm just kidding. Totally just kidding.
Yeah. I downloaded a fun new game this weekend. It's called No Breaks. And it's one of my favorite style of games. It's stupid, easy, pick it up and play, and it's usually a quick, short plays, so you don't have to get involved into the game for hours. Actually, you get addicted to it and end up playing for hours. But one play of the game can take like a minute max. So it's really fun. The goal is it's called no brakes, and you have what's some sort of track, like a car track, and you have this little rectangle which you should think of as a racing car, for example, and it has no brake. It just keeps going, goes faster and faster, and you can only turn right and left, and you have to go around the track without touching anything around the track. So you can't touch the borders or anything. If you do, you lose and you start from scratch. The goal is to go as fast as possible. So I think with every lap that you take or every lap and a half, the speed increases. So it makes it a little harder to control the little rectangle, and eventually you're going to crash and lose. But it's super fun. It's a free game. Yes, it is free. Yeah. It's a free game. It's one of these games that you can pick up when you're in the bus or waiting in line at McDonald's or at the Mexican joint or whatever. It doesn't require much from you. And it's pretty addictive. I must say, I've been spending lots of time on it, especially now during the night. My son wakes up at like 3 a.m. I have to feed him and stuff, and then he doesn't go back to sleep right away. So I just pick this up and just mindlessly play drive my little rectangle around the track, and it's fun. Give it a try.
Does a rectangle at least look like a car?
No, it's just a little
rectangle with like a little smiley face on it.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, this is actually kind of cute. This is kind of cool. It's got little sparklies. I'm playing it right now.
Yeah, so instead of having like smoke like coming out from the exhaust, it's like little squares coming out. It's cute. I mean, I wouldn't describe it as cute. I guess the character or yeah, it's cute.
It is cute.
But it's a fun game. It's a fun game.
The little thing smiles when you're going fast.
Yeah.
Oh. It's got the music that makes you just want to.
Oh, I haven't played the music. My phone is always on mute.
Oh man, you're missing the best part of it. It's like a lullaby. But I'm going so fast now. I'm going like 90 miles an hour.
So my score is, I think, 178.
Oh, really? Top speed?
Top speed.
This is a cool game because it doesn't have like a score per se. It's just how fast you go. You know what I mean?
Right, and that's your score. Yeah, that's.
But it could drop as you play. You know?
Yeah. So sometimes you can. I thought about it before because sometimes you have like the straight line. There's like one long straight line, so that's where you get all the speed. And sometimes I'm like, should I just? I know I just beat my top speed. Maybe I should just go straight into the wall. Yeah. So that I can log this top speed, because if I make a turn, I'm going to lose a little speed in the turn, and then I might crash and then not beat my record. Mm-hmm. So I've been looking at, what's it called? Game Center to see how people are doing around the world. And I think the top score is 400 something.
Kilometers an hour.
Yeah. It's,
slow down, guys. It's dangerous out there.
Yeah. Yeah. We are your seatbelts.
New personal best. 101. Good.
All right.
Okay. All right. There you go. So that is a good game. You guys need to download that. No breaks. So I did download something else this week. Should I tell you about it? It's a game. It's really fun. It's like this little car that goes around this track. It's called No Brakes. And it's not actually a car. But okay.
Okay. That was actually pretty good, Jeff. I really thought you were going to pull out another game or app that you downloaded.
I thought he was going to say I downloaded an app. It's called Spider Joke Generator.
Oh, that is a genius idea. Seriously, like that is $1 million idea.
That's probably very simple. You can create a database with like 6 columns, and then you can have like the first column being like pick your animal. So it could be a spider or a giraffe, a horse or whatever. Pick the location, pick
a bar,
and then pick the outcome.
Pick the devastating windows. Pick the devastating punchline.
Yeah, dude, you got to work on it. There's money to be made here. We were talking earlier in the show about how some people quit their job by creating applications.
Dude,
maybe this is your way out.
I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna make this. First of all, this should be a website like spiderjokes.com, and you just make your own. Like.
I'm surprised you haven't started this website yet. Actually,
what should the devastating scenarios be? All right, when I have number 1, 401k crashed, basically.
His wife left him.
Yeah, that's number 2. Okay.
Okay, I'm on spiderjokes.com. This website already exists.
Arg. Leave that.
I don't think they're like Jeff's spider jokes though.
No, it's a spider joke generator. That's what it is.
Whatever.
Well, speaking of jokes, I've got a good one, and I only one, so it better be good.
Okay, let's hear it.
Question for you guys: who can shave 25 times a day and still have a beard? Who can shave 25 times a day and still have a beard?
Santa Claus.
A barber.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
That was more like clever
Yeah,
than
it
it
was
was.
That was a clever. That wasn't stupid. Yeah, that was clever. Maybe we should start a clever joke section.
Okay, I have one.
Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
What do you get when you mix an insomniac, an agnostic, and a dyslexic?
I don't know.
An insomniac.
An insomniac, an agnostic, and a dyslexic person.
Yeah, a dyslopsiniac.
Nope. You get someone who stays up all night wondering if there really is a dog.
Wow.
That's a good
That's
one.
pretty
I
good.
like this one actually. That's a good one. I like that. That's my favorite joke you've said, Jeff, so far.
Wow. Yeah.
That's pretty good. That beats
That
the
is
spider
pretty.
joke.
That's high praise. Yeah. Okay, I have one. What do you call a rifle with 3 barrels?
A trifle?
Yeah. Did you hear that joke before? That's a good guess.
Well, no, I mean rifle.
Yeah, try.
You know, 3 try.
A trifle.
Trifle.
That's one of those. That's definitely under the stupid category, but you know.
Any more jokes, guys? I'm out of jokes.
I have one more.
Okay.
What do prisoners use to call each other?
Numbers?
Cell phone.
No, cell phones.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
I really think they do too. If you've ever watched these locked up shows, they sneak them into prison
Yeah.
in, well, you know, different places.
Okay, here's one for you. What's red and dangerous?
Stop sign.
Strawberry and tarantula jelly.
No, that's a stupid. No, that's a stupid.
Whoa, Jeff, that totally combined like his normal spider jokes with like a stupid joke. You could literally take that and use it with anything. What's red and dangerous? A tomato holding a large hand grenade.
Yeah, a tomato with a gun.
Tomato with a gun. Yeah.
All right, last one. Why did a spider buy a car?
A spider call, spider web, speedster, roadster. I
So
don't
we
know.
can take it
Why?
out for a spin.
Spin. Oh, he spins web. That's right.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah. Oh man, that was the one too many joke
Yeah.
here. You see,
You
We should
totally
have stuck
ruined it
over
with
at the
that
top
last joke.
here. Yeah,
I
yeah,
should
yeah,
have
yeah.
put why I was ahead.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, when keeping it real goes wrong. You guys
For
watched
Chappelle
the
show?
Chappelle
Yeah.
show, yeah. It's just
All right, one more drink. Or no, one more drink.
One more drink.
One more
Wow,
joke.
Jeff.
One more
okay.
joke.
Redeem yourself. Redeem
All right,
yourself.
a man and his pet spider walk into a bar. It's about 5 p.m., but they're ready for a good night of drinking. They start off slowly, walking and watching TV, drinking beer, eating peanuts. And as the night goes on, they move to mixed drinks and then shooters, and one after the other. And finally, the bartender's like, last call. So the man says, one more for me and one for my spider friend here. The bartender sets them up and they shoot them back. And suddenly the spider falls over dead. The man throws some money on the bar, puts on his coat, and starts to leave. The bartender says, hey, buddy, you can't just leave that lion right there. To which the man replies, that's not a lion, that's a spider.
That's a good one.
Hey,
that was a funny one.
You know, you realize I told like instance of this joke like 2 weeks ago.
I know.
With,
it's
that's
funny.
not a lion, but this was for some reason way better.
this was funnier.
I think yeah,
It's
the
the
setup.
spiders.
Yeah, the setup was better for sure.
Good one, good one. Well, let's stop here while we're at the top of our game here. We don't want to go back down.
Okay.
I'm cool.
All right.
I'm cool with
Well,
that.
as always, gentlemen, what an immense pleasure I got sitting down in the same room in the studio here with our audience.
IDB Studios.
The IDB studio at 5 Northwestern Avenue in New York. And just hang out and talk about our favorite topics. And when I'm going to hit hang up on this call, I'm going to be thinking about next week for all this week coming up.
I'm gonna.
Wow,
it's
that
a
was deep.
deep
This
depression.
is the highlight of my week.
Very deep. I guess.
Dramatic.
Right. Also, thanks to you guys for working with me through my technical troubles. I postponed the show, I think, 45 minutes, but we made it work. And thanks to Skype for working on my iPhone properly. And awesome.
Yeah. Hopefully, people won't be able, listeners shouldn't be able to tell
Right.
you were recording this on your iPhone. We're able to tell,
And
but
just think.
the end result should be just
And
fine.
just think. Once you guys update to what is that? Yosemite. We'll all be able to use FaceTime, which is really nice.
FaceTime audio. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That should make it just a little simpler.
Just a little better. All right, guys.
Yep. All right. Thank you very much, and we'll talk next week.
See ya.
We'll be here.
Bye bye.
Peace.